if we can hear them, they just have a hard time, and I'm not passing my loud stuff.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody.
Right.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Exactly. I was thinking, okay,
You didn't get
we
it?
are,
No, I tried to click
now
on it and it wouldn't
the
show me
link.
what the number was.
do people just go to regular KW Perimeter?
I'll text you. When do you say you can get by there?
He's gonna try and
How are
make
you?
it work this weekend.
Married life good?
So I'm just gonna connect the two of them.
It's
You
the
need
same.
to facilitate
It's the
that.
same. Just a
Well,
different
yeah.
last name.
Facilitate.
Yeah. That's it.
If you want to happen this
Yeah.
weekend, you
Not
need to
even a full
please
last
facilitate.
name.
Okay.
Just
Last
FYI.
five letters.
Well, I gotta
of
check with her
name.
schedule and all that too.
I'll
She really-
start,
she need to be on that. Well, she gonna have someone there.
Well, I
I'll
don't know
start
what she
Zoom
has
meeting.
going on. She does have
Yeah,
some stuff
see,
going on.
You heard me?
Type that.
What?
I'll start a Zoom meeting, so we can go ahead.
There we are.
Still Mardi Gras colors up here. What's going on?
We are moving to Zoom. Oh,
Okay, well, that's not what I sent. I sent them just a regular URL. All right, Ro, you ready to type
yeah.
a new URL to send people?
Okay.
HTTPS. Colon
He says married
slash
life. Brad, how is life?
Reading that thing.
Brad.
That's okay.
Well,
How
I'll
is
just do it
life
on
not being
Zoom.
a team leader?
I'm good.
Can't hear you.
I said, how is life not being a team leader?
Don't know
Okay,
yet.
we're doing it right
Too
now.
soon.
Oh, you are?
Okay,
Okay.
www.youtube.com
Oh, still all right.
/C/KW Perimeter /live. That's it.
Alright.
And Scott has tested it and it works. Oh.
Got it, Dominique?
Mm-hmm, thank you.
My pleasure.
That's the title of our meeting. Yes.
Inside joke, CP time.
This is what I was trying
No.
to get.
I do not do
You on CP
I'm
time.
like,
Since we have 4 people watching.
yeah, I went to it to make sure it worked. I gotta go absolutely.
Well, I'm not gonna be able to hold up the meeting much more. They're gonna pivot to Zoom.
I'm 1000%
You said 30 seconds.
Alright, I just sent that, I just sent it out.
I mean, definitely, if they just go to our YouTube channel,
I went to
KW
it.
Perimeter,
Yeah,
you went to it and you saw it?
yeah. I see it says waiting for KW program.
Yeah, that's what Scott's working on. See, this is where I filled in that title.
Aren't you saying,
It's like it wants, force you to use Studio.
good morning.
Good morning. I'm trying to see if I can access the video on the off chance that I'm prepared for that.
And then click
Okay.
on live up at the top. on the
How
channel
are you?
videos.
I'm well.
Uploads and live.
We're all going well. We're trying to do the YouTube link, but we'll just
You gotta stop streaming and start again? Yeah, well. Okay,
One more slide.
you wanna, Ro, you wanna send us, we're gonna try another link.
Oh. That's okay.
You've already switched.
I sent them both. I sent them the
Thank you, Scott. Okay, talk to you later. Well, I have a link if you want it.
I sent them the YouTube link and I sent them a
I'm not sure, the YouTube link,
I was
just,
about to say, but that one's not gonna work. And
right, but I have one that is working.
Do you think everybody that you want on here, Rashonda, is going to be on here with this last second change like this?
I'd rather just have them. I sent them YouTube and Zoom in the same email. So if they can't get in YouTube, they should just come over to Zoom. I don't want to send out another communication.
Well, I know, but do you think they're actually?
I'm about to text everybody.
Okay, you can text it once and go there.
Oh, Judy Posner just said YouTube is working. Brad, would you say, just speak to the camera and say if you're seeing this, would you put it in the chat,
Yeah,
write it in the
Michelle.
chat?
Michelle and Jeannie, they're here.
Would you say,
Okay.
just speak to the camera and say if you're seeing this, would you write it in the chat?
Michelle and Jeannie, they're here. We're having a bit of a delayed reaction.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when do you want to start?
2 minutes.
Okay. All right, we're starting in 2 minutes. So when do you want to start? All right, we're starting in 2 minutes.
About a minute, I think. A minute, 45 seconds.
Why is it delayed? So why is it delayed?
Well, when you record, the people watching see it 2 seconds later, and you're hearing it from her point of view. Oh, good. So now that she's turned off her speaker, you shouldn't hear that.
Okay. Can you, one of you, see how many people are on? Can you see who's on?
Yeah. Well, on YouTube it's Jeannie and Michelle. So,
Right.
and then we have Nikki and someone else is joining in. I just don't know who the other person is.
It's me. I just tried it from Zoom.
Oh.
It worked though. First time I clicked on the Zoom link, it worked.
Is Amisha going to be on or no?
No. Jeannie said hi.
Oh, hey, Jeannie.
Okay, I think that's 2 minutes.
Ready?
Yep.
All right, so good morning. It is Friday, the 17th of July. Thank you for joining. This is the diversity meeting, the new diversity group. And just to bring you up to speed, in the last month, let's say 7 weeks, we obviously had extreme situations in this country, starting with the George Floyd incident, and there's still situations occurring daily. Keller Williams, the region, has formed groups to address this and make progress and come up with solutions. We met probably 5-6 weeks ago me and Stacy and a group of African Americans just to talk through what you were feeling, what the situation was, learning about your lives, and that was a long meeting, 2.5 hours, that we learned a lot and we became a lot more aware of situations in the world that we were not even aware of. We met a couple weeks later on a call that was, again, a group of African Americans in the office, the ownership group, the staff, and the culture committee, again, expressing, same people kind of expressing the same stories about their life, and of course, the same thing. Everyone became much more aware of the realities that African Americans live in this country. Many people weren't aware of their fears, their anxieties. So the region has formed a Rashonda, what's the group called? Diversity.
Social equity, or we're changing the name to social equity right now.
Okay.
You probably know of it as social equality. So if you hear me say social equity, that's why. And we're going from equality to equity because it's not only about being equal, but us as Black Asians actually having wealth and equity and stuff. So that's why it's transitioning to social equity.
So every office, right, in the region has a member. There's three main people that run that committee with the region, one from each state. Every office, all 60, have a representative, and you are our representative, KW Dunwoody. So tell us today what, there we go. And you're very talented and very educated and intelligent, so I think you'll be great in this role. So tell us what we're doing today.
So today the purpose is that we will review what the Keller Williams International Committee has gone through as far as the 5 initiatives that they're focusing on. And then our ultimate purpose is to decide what we want to focus on here for our Keller Williams Atlanta Perimeter office specifically. So we will spend most of our time deciding and discussing what initiatives we think that we want to do. The overall goal is to come up with things that we actually want to see implemented, actionable steps. We will take it from there, and basically we'll do a 1 through 5 on however many initiatives we come up with. And we'll break out into groups to decide and to develop that. The reason why we're kicking off in person is so everybody gets an opportunity to meet each other. I'll definitely before we fully dive into the 5 initiatives, to have a chance to go around the room, introduce yourselves, and let's see, tell your favorite song or a song that can be about the story of your life. So I'll start.
Really?
Yeah, I know. So real quick.
Favorite song, or?
It could be something musically. It can be a favorite song. It could be if you're on a deserted island, what song could you listen to on repeat? What song describes your life right now? But something musically inclined.
Okay.
So mine would be I Hope You Dance. I heard it for the first time on a movie, and it's been stuck in my life forever since that time. I even put it on the wall. So my song would be I Hope You Dance. It's just about going after life and doing everything to the fullest. Take it away. And for everybody online, you can put it in the chat box, and I will announce your favorite song while we get everybody in the same room.
Dominique?
Hey guys, I'm Dominique.
Just say your first and last name.
Oh, Dominique Garrett. I don't know about a favorite song though. I need a little more time to think about that.
We'll come back to you.
Okay, cool.
Okay, Jim Jenks, been here a year at Keller Williams, just over a year. Favorite song, I've traveled to Israel a good bit, and there's a hymn that's posted over there by the author. It's called "It Is Well With My Soul," and so the original words are over there, and that's why that means a lot to me.
It is well.
We've got Nikki trying to talk on the Zoom.
I see it. Yeah.
Okay. Nina Wright. And I'm with Dominique. I'm going to have to think about a favorite song. There's so many.
Okay. Ellie?
Too many favorite songs. There's a song that is relative to this, what's going on, called Wildfires by Mandolin Orange. And I suggest everyone listen to it. It's very pretty.
Okay,
Hey, this is Wanda. Can you check your text?
Shot.
Rashad Arnold, and favorite song? Ooh, I have to get back to you on that one. It's like 5 in my mind right now. So.
Hit the end.
What else was you supposed to say?
Just that?
That's it. So,
Okay.
thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Ashley Williams. I'm Ashley Williams. My favorite song, well, a song that is relative to my life right now, is Order My Steps.
Okay, and I'm Brad Feynman, and I'm a Southern rocker. Always have been, always will be, in memory of Elizabeth Reed, Allman Brothers.
Okay. And so Michelle has My Life, Mary J. Blige. Selena she started with KW last April. Jim, you reminded her of Oh Happy Day.
That's great.
That's
great.
Michelle has quite a few, she said. So y'all have your songs yet? If not, we'll.
Yeah, well, one song actually that I randomly think about every now and again, and kind of throughout my whole life, "Don't Worry, Be Happy" by, what's his name?
Yeah.
Bobby McFerrin or something like that.
Bobby McFerrin.
Yeah. So yeah, and I feel like that's a really good, I guess, theme song for right now. Everything that's going on too. Don't worry, be happy.
Okay, so I just went my playlist real quick and picked.
That's a good way to figure it out.
Yeah. So I'd have to say "Deliver the World" War. And it's throwback from the 70s.
Cynthia. So Cynthia has an ownership meeting. So depending on what time they wrap up, she may or may not be able to attend. I scheduled 10:30 without looking at the schedule. So that's on me. Her favorite one is Rolling Stones, "Start Me Up." Jeannie is "Come Together" by the Beatles. Not the title. Not sure. That's not the title. It's just the words she said. So, Come
I think it
Together.
is the title.
It is. I know most of those songs. I listen to almost every type of music there is. So there's a reason why I wanted those songs that we'll discover as we go through this process. So let's get started going over the initiatives. We'll tag team. So what we'll basically do is kind of describe the first initiative, what it is, and kind of talk as a group to see if that's something that has some items that we feel we should take from for the Keller Williams Atlanta Perimeter Office. Then we'll move on to the next item and just go back and forth that way. Don't feel that we have to say box in again to any of these items. We can create our own. That's not even on this paper, so this is really just a brain dump, free-flowing conversation. The first one is dealing with community give back, and that's really an external community focus where we do sponsorships or mentorship programs for people looking to get into real estate and promote a national Black home ownership initiative. One thing I should clarify is that this task force is specifically centered around what we can do for Black agents in the Black community. That's really what our discussion and our focus point is. So, community give back. Do y'all feel like that's something that we should have an initiative dealing with specifically for the Dunwoody office? And if so, any ideas on any community-based initiatives that we should focus on? We know that there's an election coming up. Do we want to adopt a polling station and make sure that that polling station has water, food for people that have to stay in line for a long time, entertainment? Like I have a lot of my friends that go around to different polling areas and they're dancing, singing, and providing entertainment for those polling stations that have to stay in line. Is there anything from a community standpoint that you think that we want to do?
And go ahead.
Yeah, I like the idea of the community give back, and I hadn't thought about the polling situation, but you make a good point because there are going to be long lines and people are going to be frustrated. So I think water, snacks, just and give them some kind of encouragement. Just stay in line. I think that's it.
You're the note taker, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeannie says that Hank Aaron usually has a long line at their polling station. If that's something that we decide to do, that the Hank Aaron polling station usually has a long line.
So
I just think they're all on.
maybe we just need to start taking surveys or trying to figure out what locations may need, where we may need being this have roll out assistance like that. I know when you and I talked a few days ago, Ro, you also mentioned that you made a great point about even having people to potentially, for people that may have to leave and go get their kids, so have somebody that they can stand in line for them. So I think that right there is like a great way to show up for people. Say, hey, look, we'll reserve your space in line with your kids, whatever. Come back or whatever. We'll sit here and hold your place. Give me your information. When we get close to walking in or whatever, we'll text you or whatever. So I think that was a great note that you made. I think that's something we definitely should also maybe try to implement with maybe in this initiative as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. I actually forgot. So last election, that's one of the things that I did. Like I just heard on the news, like the station by Morehouse, I can't remember. But I heard that it was like a long line. People were, so I just went down and I was literally, hey, go. I got you, come back. Because my polling station, for the most part, is typically a breeze. So that's something. Some other things that, so we have some additional polling stations that I'll make sure I take note of.
Can we do multiple stations? Or
That's
we
what I
just
was
Yeah.
thinking. What if we
Yeah.
did 1 or 2, like
Yeah.
2 or 3?
And we won't figure it out. I'm taking notes of the ones that they're also mentioning in the chat.
Right.
But like if this one is one of the initiatives that we decide to focus on, then part of the activity will be identifying the data of what stations we need to go to and how many we'll need to kind of drill down into.
Because we definitely would need like a street team. You know what I
Okay.
mean? To get out there.
Some other community.
Just out of curiosity, what is the election date?
The 3rd.
November 3rd.
It is November 3rd.
Okay.
Your birthday is what? November what?
Halloween.
He's
You Halloween?
31st. October 31st.
My wife is the 4th, I'm the 7th. So I figured.
She's the 4th. Wow.
So some other things that's coming up in addition to polling is children at home frustrated with virtual learning as an option, as well as doing more so a focus on getting people into the profession of real estate and houses. Selena is mentioning that KW has an existing program that helps people get into houses, but she can't remember the name. Anyone familiar with that in here? Okay. Providing food for kids who are at home during back to school. So it seems overall the consensus is that we would like to have some type of community initiative as a group.
Even local food banks, we can work with them.
Right.
Just to,
And APS is doing a big one, has been doing it all summer, and they're carrying it through the fall, helping out, those communities in need or that, because school is out, has lost a meal or whatever. So maybe look into some of those resources to partner up and things of that nature. If
Okay.
that's something we decide to do. So it's,
Okay. And so basically what we'll do as we walk through these to figure out which ones we want to keep, which ones we don't, we will have groups to like really tackle that. So if you're passionate about doing something from a community give back initiative, then you'll, as a group, will come back, figure out which one is it. Is it polling? Is it virtual learning? Is it community food bank? Is it all three of them? Do we want to just focus? And then we'll talk as a team and kind of deep dive from there. So,
Or do we end up with 10 good ideas, but we have to pick one?
yeah, I was going to say.
I mean,
yeah.
the wider you get,
The less
it's not going to really be done to any degree.
Right.
So
Okay.
they're all good ideas, but I mean, my suggestion would be, I don't know how long you take, a couple weeks, but then you're going to pick which is the one you focus on.
Right. Okay. You want to go to the next one?
Well, and realize, name your minister, the one for Christmas that we did.
Lyft. But I also have several other ones that I'm affiliated with. So we can talk about that later. But go ahead. You were gonna.
Well, I'm just saying, for Christmas we did that.
Yes.
Yeah. So we actually were engaged in this even before this, and that we came up with a fair amount of clothes for them, right?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Both
So,
of them, yes.
and I don't know if the home ownership part, if that's, we can be a piece of that, but it might be more Randy and Matt. I mean, a lot of that piece is you got to qualify. So, what can they do? What programs can they come up to? You know, you're now qualified to where you weren't before.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right. And like even I'm on the board of a nonprofit for single parents that typically may not meet the income restriction because they may make too much, but people don't realize that, hey, as a single parent, although I'm making money, I'm having to take care of these kids and I'm getting disqualified from regular programs because of my income limit. So our goal is to help parents who fall into that category still get into a home because they have the income, but they're not able to save and they're not able to qualify for traditional programs because they make too much. So so there can be a little hybrid thing that we figure out.
Maybe we sponsor some type of grant or DPA for a certain amount of people. You know what I mean? Just a thought.
Yeah, I think this. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Rashonda, but I think today we're not really deciding anything. We're just free thinking and putting a lot of ideas on the table. And then you put this out to everyone, you know, all five, and you're maybe going to check one box that you think is the highest use and the best idea that's going to further help in the world under the situation.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
When it comes to getting more people into real estate, we can go to different universities and talk about, you know, the benefits of being in real estate to drive more people to the industry.
Yeah. Yeah. Like at the AUC, be one of the vendors at the career fair, or job fair, whatever it's called. Yeah, career fair. But that's true.
I think there's some great opportunities for that, you know, from a youth standpoint and for people that are empty nesters that's kind of relaunching, figure out what to do. You know, you have a lot of people that's kind of retiring or, you know, God forbid, that's being furloughed and like, what's next? So there may be some opportunities there where you can. So I think that's a great conversation to have. You know, just to table that and come back to it.
Yeah.
About those situations.
Okay. Before we move on to the second item, the other thing that came up as an idea is kind of in connection with what you just said, Rashad, is focusing on seniors interested in real estate. But I think that Nikki is probably referring to seniors in high school and doing the Connections Academy for them. Mm-hmm. So like I do a lot of work with DECA and we do a lot of things like that. So
I work with the middle school. I work with the middle school down in East Point for 6th and 7th grade men, with little boys, and so they would have me come in and talk to some of the kids that are at risk and, you know, talk about real estate or whatever. And it's just amazed just once you kind of start talking to them how you can start seeing their minds or whatever, light bulb starts to go off. So I just think that would actually be a great platform. We have a great platform and a great opportunity to potentially, you know, pour into that youth kids that are at risk, as well as seniors in high school, as well as, you know, so I think that's a great conversation to have.
okay. Anything else on community? So we don't want to stifle it.
To just real estate, right?
Yeah. Okay. You want to take the second one?
Okay, so number 2, minorities in leadership positions. Effectively communicate with emerging leaders to create and communicate a path to leadership. Ensure that the KW Opportunity Map is well known and accessible to Black associates.
So this one is something for me that I've been spending a lot of time on from a Southeast region perspective. Because there is a leadership roadmap out there. There is job descriptions out there on every single role within the Keller Williams office, but a lot of people don't know what that is. So for me, I really do think that this is personally one of the ones we would keep. And some of the initiatives under that is just making sure that that we do sections like what is it to be a team leader, what are they looking for from a KPA standpoint, for a productivity coach, for this, like all the different paths in leadership, and really focusing on making sure that everyone is aware of those opportunities that's out there.
I think tied into that, I would like to see, I love that whole leadership thing. I actually did some teaching on it too, but to have some classes and different workshops on how to develop into a leader, from the basics and what is a leader, and then take it from there up into the KW thing. And we could expand this out to just about anybody that can come to a leadership educational.
So I agree with you, Jim. I think first you're probably coming up with a list of 10 to 20 things that are qualities of a leader. But as Rashonda said, I mean, these have always been out there, just people either had no interest in finding them, or, I mean, it wasn't like we just sent them out all the time.
Yeah,
But-
like it's on KW, but it's not easy to find on KW at all.
Right. So maybe, I mean, again, realize that this office, in its 20 years, we've had 2 African-American team leaders here. We've had, in the last 2 years, we had African-American front desk. So it's a part of this office, but I think if you want to create the awareness, Rashonda, maybe all those things we put into one email. So here's what a team leader, there is a description of that. Here's an MCA, and then maybe a region can probably provide this, but here's the KPA, here's the qualities of those, just all in one email that someone can easily go through. It might end up being 50 pages.
Yeah.
But
In addition to that, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, you go.
No, you started first.
No, ladies first.
So I'll go.
Somebody go.
I like, is your name George?
Jim.
Jim, I'm sorry.
That's the thing.
Jim, I like Jim's idea because you can put it in an email and the information can be out there, but I think what you were speaking about is something ongoing, like a training, to bring those people in who are interested into leadership. Yeah. So that's definitely something I think would be, that would be an asset.
What I was gonna add was, you're right. A few African American team leaders, MCA. However, there's so much more out there.
Absolutely.
That people are unaware of. So I think Rashonda, you just correct me if I'm wrong. What we're trying to convey is making sure the information is getting out, so it's known about. Now, if you choose or don't choose to take advantage or look further into it, then that's your prerogative.
Right.
But acknowledging that it's out there and people knowing that it's out there, I think is what people have kind of approached me and said, "Hey, I didn't know about it. Where do I find it?" So making those 2 connections and so it's transparent and people can find it and the opportunities are there.
Right. So instead of just saying go to KW and go here, we print all those out, and here they are. Here are the 6 positions you can be. Here's what the job description is. Here's what the KPA looks like for that person.
Yeah, and we could probably build it out on our intranet site. You know how we have those associate posts? We have those different tabs on our site. Like I don't know how easy it is, but you can literally build out like a leadership tab and have that in there as well. Because our personal intranet site is easy to maneuver. Where we have all those office posts and announcements and birthdays and everything. So if there was a way to just add a tab on that site and just have it listed. So you have the email communication, but you also have a static place that's always there for people to go to.
And I would suggest this, Rashonda. I mean, y'all have this group at Region, so it seems very time inefficient for every office to do this. Why wouldn't you suggest to that group that why don't we put this together? It's a consistent package for all, and then all you gotta do is send it to all 60
It's
offices.
uniform, right?
Yeah, so it actually is a consistent package. It's
Right.
just hard to get to.
No, I'm saying somehow that group puts it together
Yeah.
for everybody instead of every office having to do this and do it 60 times, do it one time.
Yeah, so we are planning to do that. We are planning to move where those job descriptions and everything is and make it easier to find.
Exactly.
Because all the work is actually already done. We don't have to create anything at all. It even has what the KPA and what the fit is for each position within the office. So there's no work on creating the material. The work is figuring out the best place to put the material where it's easy to find for everybody. And then doing some, there's been a lot of interviews happening where people in different positions within like all the MCAs, they're talking about, hey, this is what I did to become an MCA. This is what I did to become a team leader. This is what I did to become a productivity coach. And this is the path I took. So people can also understand, because I know I personally haven't fully understood what everybody in the office did. I just have like a singular thing, like Ellie and Lauren, that's money. But what else do they do? I don't know. Besides make sure that we get paid, we gotta make sure we submit our green sheet. So some of the other things that's coming up is having a more balance of having more Black people in leadership, having a balance, kind of like the Peachtree, someone's mentioning the Peachtree Road office has more than one productivity coach, so people can see. For new agents, they have an option of, based on my personal style, who I want to go to from a productivity coach perspective. So that's coming up online as well. Someone else suggested an automatic assignment of mentors for new agents. So when a new agent comes into the office, they're assigned a mentor.
Kind of touched about that on the LC actually Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yes.
And so you want to elaborate on
Yes.
that?
Can I take this off?
Yes. There you go. Yes.
I can't breathe. So standards of excellence will be implemented in the office in general. So when a new agent comes in, they're going to be going to productivity coaching or be mentored by their sponsor. Their sponsor is, one of you guys. You're welcome to mentor them, and we expect a 10% fee for the first 2 to 3 transactions they have, 10% of their deals, because you're going to hold their hand, do the contract with them, train them with that stuff. They already should be trained. They're going to go to Ignite. They're going to do all that. But it's a form of mentoring, and it's also if you or let's say it's an agent in Tennessee that refers an agent over here, then they would probably work with a productivity coach versus having quote mentor. But as like if I recruit somebody and I want to teach them, I'm capable of teaching them on their first 3 transactions on how to do the contracts and how to negotiate, how to use comps, how to do all of that stuff, because it's very needy when you first start. So we want to be sure that they have somebody they can go to and make all of those questions, and the person would help them through all of that. And that's across Rob's group. It's called Standards of Excellence, and we want to be sure that we're taking care of the newbies. And if anybody needs to relaunch, they've been here for a while and they haven't been in production, we're going to put them with a productivity coach, and if they want to. If they want to get back into production, because why would you want to be an agent if you're not in production? I don't know.
So what you're saying is in the future, when someone is new and being recruited, they're going to be informed they must participate in this program?
Yes.
And it's 10% of their first?
First 2 to 3. If they nail it in 2, then we're happy they can move on. But if it's 2 to 3 is generally what we would think. I use the example, I have 35 years and I still ask somebody a question, sometimes probably at least 80% of the time. I got this situation, what do you think? So I always have a friend, call a friend.
And so to qualify as a mentor, is there certain things you have to do to be a qualified
I think there's
mentor?
a list, and I don't have that yet.
Okay.
But I'm just basing mentoring on, if you're an experienced agent and you have a recruit or, that you're bringing in, you're totally welcome to teach them. We think that'd be the best. They're your downline. You want them to be, productive so that they contribute to the office, and then therefore contribute to profits to you and your bottom line, your passive income mailbox money, right? So you have a vested interest in the success of a new agent that you're bringing into the office. And they want to get successful or they're not going to stay in real estate.
So anyone can apply to be a mentor. There's certain things that you have to, certain qualifications.
I think there is a list, and I do not have that right now.
Okay,
We haven't run into
that'll come out soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's a checklist of what what you're going to be expected to know. Actually, I have something like that.
So to be clear, it's one or the other, right?
Yes,
you can either,
correct.
If it's in your downline, you can either mentor the people in your downline, or you can say, hey, a productivity coach, just take over and handle it.
Correct.
But the productivity coach again will be compensated for that mentorship for those transactions.
Like Rashad has a lot of recruits, and he doesn't have time to mentor 10 people.
Right.
So he's like, please take them and teach them, right? Because that way it helps him get leverage.
Okay. Good.
And I think you potentially could, after you mentioned that, I got to talking with a couple other people, and so maybe that could be a situation where you have your, like you say, your Ignite, and so you kind of get to that process, and then from then you might can go to like a half cappers type stage where then you probably can be a little more hands on, because then they have some of the basics in place, writing contracts and understanding that language and things of that nature, and then maybe figure something else out.
Yeah, and they would be past their 2 to 3 transactions anyway, so they'd be able to fly.
Right.
And they're still going to call a friend.
Right. Absolutely.
One of the questions that came up, and I don't know if we know the answer to this, is will an agent, if they're already familiar with how to complete a contract, but they're not familiar with the KW system, like they're just coming from another broker
Staff.
with, okay. So,
I think, don't you?
Yeah. So for that scenario, you wouldn't have to go through the mentoring program. You would just go and work with staff. It's only for brand new out of school agents.
Good question.
And I think we should have transparency in understanding that for the office, right? Because I know when I came over from another brokerage experience, but again, learning the systems,
Yes.
that transition can be some challenges, and of course you got to kind of get used to the the new wave of things, and so understanding and knowing who those go-to people are for implementation and all the other things.
And that's agent services, really. That's their role, in my opinion.
Okay.
If anybody has any suggestions on any alternative, but that to me is the office will help you get up and running on the KW systems. That's what we're proud of, and that's what we want everybody to know. And I'd like to learn it myself.
And
I'm mentioning command only, that's all.
one of the other suggestions is regarding the mentors is to have an opportunity for people to sign up to say, hey, I like to commit to mentoring an agent.
That's awesome.
And so that way you know who's on the bench.
So
to
actually,
help.
if they would come to me or raise their hand, send me an email, because I'd like to build a bench of people who want to do coaching and mentoring, because there's some people that just love helping others like that, and we certainly have cases right now where people are doing that, and I want to build a bench so when the permanent team leader is here, they can help. Terry Cummings would be in charge of productivity coaching. She's doing a fabulous job, and she's got more than 70 people in productivity coaching right now. So, obviously if it goes to a certain bandwidth, she needs to offload, and we want her to be in charge of the productivity coaches per se. Mentoring is somewhat different though. I think it's not really a coach. A coach is going to have really, really, really tough, really strict criteria, and they do more than just teach them the contracts.
Yeah.
They're talking about all of the get into business philosophy, build a database. So that's a little bit different. But I do intend to have a bench of people ready so that the new team leader and Terry can sit down and say, great, I got these 10 people, and let's see how they can be helpful, and we can take advantage of them raising their hand.
So, and also, what would be the requirements of that mentor? Like, do you have to be a capper? Like, have you be with the company for so many years?
I'll find out if there's if there's already that standard. Yeah, we're looking for the standards. Yeah. Good point. I will do that part.
Okay. Anything else regarding minorities in leadership position before we go? So Nikki, one of the things that Cynthia will do is look at the standards of what's required for a mentor and everything. And then there's another good suggestion as well from Nikki, is having a one-pager with information about who to go to for what, like a quick document. Okay, got it.
I think we have that already. I think we just got to make sure it's out. Don't we kind of have one you go to for the staff?
Yeah, we've put it up, but I don't know where it is right this second. So I mean, Ellie, do you know where we keep that? We've had it.
It's just an email we've sent
that's
out a few times kind of throughout the year, just as reminders. But you know, you guys get so many emails. I'm sure it's been missed. But you mentioned the intranet earlier. Maybe that's something we could just upload it to the intranet. It can always be accessed that way.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'd like to do is make a Keller Williams website. I mean, our page. Sorry, on Facebook private, and have it where we can just have a private chat like we have Rawls Group is private, and so to me, I think that could be a forum.
I like that actually.
Oh, good. I did something. I haven't done it yet.
We actually been talking about that in the culture committee, but I think if we can probably implement all of that on one
Correct.
Facebook
like then you
page.
can go to it and it's a safe place to chat with
like that would be,
everyone in
that'd
our
be
office.
great.
And also if you have a new listing or
right?
Yeah, you want to coming soon. You could another place to market it directly and sell it within the office, which we love to do.
Yeah, I know a lot of the other offices do have the Rawls Group page, but they also have their own group
We
page
have
as well,
we do have an office page, guys, on Facebook, but it's not private right now, so I don't think I'll have.
You could just make a Facebook group.
Yeah.
I would leave the page as is probably.
Yeah, and then just make a group.
Just make a group. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me continue.
Yeah, because my.
Okay, looks like you're
Yeah.
getting plugged in there.
I'm getting plugged in.
Need some juice?
Number 3, diversity training and education. Diverse representatives of trainers and educators, diversity and inclusion training within major KW events, training around implicit biases and cultural competencies as required through onboarding or a quarterly annual training, affordable housing training for agents leadership.
I felt like I was really big
Ideas on this?
So part of this will include stuff that, like what Dr. Brandy did, as well. Mostly that's what that one is dealing with, as well as some of the stuff that we've talked about already with having a diversity as far as our office really has diversity right now. Like if you think about like the Ignite teachers is a very diverse group that comes in and teaches Ignite. So for us, I think some of this is already in place personally from my standpoint. So it'd be more so, do we need someone to come in and talk about diversity and understanding differences and stuff like that would probably be what the question that we have for our particular office to think about. I think we do good already with the trainings that we have. Even the people who speak on the team meetings, it's always a very diverse group of people that come on, in my opinion. Do y'all agree? Disagree? Like, that's what I think. But I think as far as topics, we can probably focus on doing that a little bit better. Like a topic of really fully understanding down payment assistance and what down payment assistance programs are out there. Because like I call Renita the down payment assistance queen. Like she knows all the different down payment assistance programs like the back of her hand. And I have people who qualify for down payment assistance, but they typically end up just not using it. So I have very few transactions where I've completed down payment assistance. So I know for me, I typically call Renita. So doing something with down payment assistance or affordable housing could be a topic for.
Would she speak on team meeting, you think?
She probably will in a few weeks though. Yeah. She'll probably say yeah, but no. She needs to rest. Yeah. Renita, she's not on. she needs the rest.
Well,
But
that's stressful, being on TV.
I know. But like, so Fran actually mentioned affordable housing. She hasn't been trained on that. So doing some training on affordable housing, down payment assistance. Potentially, what do y'all think about a diversity training? Do we need diversity training for our office? Things like that.
I think that maybe not necessarily diversity training, but training on the different diverse areas that we're kind of targeting or that we're selling in as minorities, right? So,
Yeah.
like some of the challenges that you may run into in Sandy Spring may be different than Southwest Atlanta or East Atlanta or whatever. So when it comes to a value standpoint or understanding how an appraisal appraises properties over there and what the comps they're using and things of that nature, maybe could help assist the minorities and the black people that and brown people that are selling in those areas to serve their clients at a higher level. So maybe a trainer having a speaker come in and kind of, give us some insight on that so we can take it and share it with our clients and the communities. So that's an idea.
No, that's it. One of the, it's not here in Georgia, but in Tennessee, they are seeing consistently, like one of the things that they're focusing on from a community standpoint is appraisals. They're consistently seeing low appraisals in black communities from what the contract price is versus what the appraiser is coming back. So they're literally having to fight for those values every single time. So bless you, Ellie. So that's a really good point. What would you call that training though? We don't have to figure it out now, but I get the concept of
knowing people redlining.
What are you talking?
Knowing when people are redlining. Yeah, like alerts, like what are those flags?
Right.
And how do you start to collect the data on that?
Right.
Besides,
because it's interesting because me and Brad had a brief chat this morning just about as the market maybe potentially starts to pivot, you may start to see short sales coming about. You may start to see foreclosures. So now we're having a whole nother conversation in 2021 about certain values. So if we can get ahead of it now, I think we can not only serve our, offer great value as an office, then we can serve our clients at a high level. Now people start to come to us because we're a source.
right.
So
Yep.
And then Selena recommended first-time home buyers how to be to handle them in a competitive market, and she feels that we need unconscious bias training as well.
Unconscious bias training, what is that?
I knew you were getting ready to ask that. So I was hoping. Selena, we need further details on unconscious bias training. It may be something, and Selena, we do need you to clarify, but it may be something that she's thinking that happens that people aren't aware of. Like when people say, I don't see color. Nope, that's not what she meant. It's more than diversity. I still don't know. She said it's more than diversity. Anybody have a thought on it?
Well, she needs to tell us what she means.
Yeah, she did. She said it's more than diversity.
Well,
We need a little bit, break it down on the kindergarten, first grade level for us. Okay, she's gonna come back and she's gonna explain it more. Okay. Anything else with diversity? I'll see when she pops up. So if there isn't anything else, then we'll move to the next one, out of respect for time.
And I do like the quarterly type thing because as you go through a year, you always want to reset or assess what's happening from the first quarter to the second quarter to the third quarter. So instead of it being on an annual type thing, a quarterly, I think it's would probably be pretty effective, or to kind of keep a pulse on what's happening. It's important I've always thought as an agent, as a realtor, you know, you want to keep a pulse of what's happening on the ground. You know, when you have boots on the ground, you know, you can gather information, in my opinion, faster versus, so quarterly, I think is a good, I would be for that. I would vote for that. Whatever we decide to do in whatever training, but quarterly is better than annual.
Okay.
Before we move on to the wealth builders, I'd like to see a little more on the affordable housing training for agents and leadership. Agents and leadership. I'm currently a volunteer with the group NID. I don't know if any of you all are familiar with that. They're a nonprofit organization, and they help low-income people get into affordable homes. So I was thinking that we could do something like that, you know, incorporate some of that. Right now, we're certified by HUD to give counseling. And what I find in those communities is that, or in our community, is that we're less educated on the process of purchasing homes. That's why more of us want to rent, because we feel like it's an easier process. And just not being aware of the home ownership process, period. And like you were saying, Rashad, and a lot of you all mentioned, in terms of values, home values, flocking to certain neighborhoods because they just think that that's the neighborhood that they need to live in because those homes are affordable, not knowing that they can go into other neighborhoods and those homes are affordable also. So I would like to see some more of that within the KW office, just in terms of minorities.
Okay. All right. Got it.
Can you make a note to just circle back around and maybe in another meeting to define what is affordable? Because what may be affordable for some may be different from others. So that's kind of a word that's been
Broad term.
a broad word. What's affordable, right? Because of
well, I think affordable means affordable according to your income. So that's how we do, like based on we do an intake, and we get their income information and whatever, you know.
So again, it depends on. So again, like define what that is, because I think once you start talking about affordable homes, specifically because the people are not going to determine the affordable home. The neighborhoods and the affordability of the homes are going to determine who can get into those neighborhoods, right?
No, you're right.
So I'm agreeing with you. I think that's a conversation that we could start, that can grow, that can expand. Because again, like if you go back when the Beltline was first started, Emmett Park was supposed to be affordable homes on the Beltline. So, but that word was used very loosely. So again, we can just table that. We can come back around to it. So I think that's something we can determine and discuss more. Because the West End is not affordable now for a lot of people right now.
Yeah.
But it started out as an affordable community.
Yeah. And understanding that transition, like how
Correct.
do those things happen? So you understand, like at what point of the cycle do you need to make sure you get in, and we increase the home ownership. Okay. Wealth builders. Growth of our Black associates' productivity and an overall agent count with a focus on building the wealth and businesses of Black associates is point number 4. So for me, that's actually one of my things I love, actually. And so I would think that this would be something simple on that, is increasing the percent of cappers. That's something that's easily trackable. I know until you cap, you may not fully understand what capping means. And then you're like, hold up, wait, for real? And I mean, it's something like super simple, it sound like, but unless you do it, you don't understand like how that world opens up to you. I personally love the investment clubs that we have. There's something that maybe we do an investment project together. Everybody has those who want to participate, you have to buy in, but that helps you build up your portfolio to do an investment project. So I think that there are some fun things that we can do in this wealth builders area. What do y'all think?
I mean, this is a point. No, so what you got, Ellen? Give me one.
Repeat the question, I'm sorry.
We're talking about growth of basically growth of productivity or the business and overall wealth for Black agents.
For our agents?
Yeah.
So more closings.
Yeah, more closings. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I think this whole mentorship / coaching thing we're talking about implementing is great. I think there's probably a way to implement, some strategic culture in that as well. I mean, I think we need a diverse collection of, these mentors and coaches. But yeah, I think that's the step to more productivity. We need some incentives and we need people coaching.
Brad?
Dominique.
Well, it's for all. Basically, Keller Williams is a training company and the training is available to all people, always has been. So, yes, to have Black associates more productive, that's why you got in real estate. You're here to sell real estate and make more money, correct? That's obviously going to help, and the training is out there. We do the wealth building. I don't think many offices do that. That is open to everyone, and I think we have a very diverse group that attends that, correct? And it's very close to my heart, and that's why I run that, is that, there's steps to becoming financially independent, and a lot of people don't understand those steps. We had it last week. I don't know if you were here, but one guy was basically, I want to buy, investment house soon, and once we started talking to him, it's like he has no money to his name, and we're like, well, we would recommend that you slow down on that. It's a dream for 3 to 5 years from now, but you need to up your business to a point where you have excess money, and we would recommend $50,000 to $100,000 in an account, and then you come up with your down payment, and now you are set up for success in the investment world. So a lot of investment club is higher level talk with people like Rashad that already is in this game, and a lot of it is newer people that just investment sounds sexy, being an investor, but there are strict rules to set yourself up for success. So I think this office is one of the best of any. I don't know of any other office that actually has a club like that. But anyone, if you're looking to achieve financial independence and wealth, there's a pretty much a time-tested path that you have to do this, and you can't jump way up here until you're in a position here. And that's what we're trying to do, is get people set up. Osei and Aaron, I met with them for 2 years, and we met every 2 weeks, and they came in going, hey, I want to buy an investment house. And we had the same conversation. And, I think Osei's in that position now. He did slow down. He now has $50,000 where he can play the game right and succeed. So, I think everyone's looking to become more productive and to build wealth. The great thing about building wealth in this company that's open to everyone, always has been, is profit sharing. Okay? And anyone can participate. It's a big part of my life. I've been doing it for 20 years. But that is about the purest form of passive income that you could ever achieve, and that there's no investment, there's no risk, and there's no management. So anyone can do that all day long. I've always been scratching my head why. I'm running 2 businesses. I'm running a real estate business, and here's my pipeline of that, and I'm bringing people to KW because it's the best place it's the best training in the industry and the best place to have your license, and here's my pipeline of that too. And said it a million times. In my opinion, I'd be having 3 to 4 lunches every month with somebody. That's all I did in the beginning. That was my total game plan, but I didn't miss it. And if I had 52 lunches, 5 would join minimum. and that happened. So, but maybe again, maybe people just don't understand that's out there. This office on top of that, not only do you get profit share, but now you have a disappearing cap.
Right.
So you can actually end up with zero cap. I mean, and you still get profit share. It's just like, it's the ultimate situation.
Yeah.
But
and you talked about profit share in one of the, was it the wine and cheese event?
yeah.
And so, from that, like, that did become like a focus area for me. And so, like, with my downline that joins Southers, I am working with them. All of them have people under contract. And they're brand new because, one, disappearing cap was super attractive because I understood capping. And then them getting like that, having that consistent flow of mailbox money. So I think that that's good that you mentioned that there are so many different ways that you can build wealth, and profit share is one of those ways. So maybe it's a consistent thing of having like, what do y'all call it? She talks about it all the time. She's what is it called? The 100% Club?
Exactly.
What?
Well, it's when your profit share exceeds your cap.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, people just forget that let's just say last year you made $20,000 in profit share. Your 100% club, you paid 18 in cap, and you got back 20.
Yeah.
So you're actually getting paid to be here. Okay, and still growing all the time. And if you choose to get to a point, you're 50, 60, 70, where you stop work, it keeps coming to you. And I've told that story before. Cynthia probably has too. Like in the early days of KW, let's say 2001, 2002, I think it was the East Cobb office, and there were 2 agents that were considering KW back then. And realized back then, it was a new company. So you talked to a lot of people. A lot of people were just like, thank you, it sounds good, but it was just a new company. And so one guy joined, and his buddy didn't. And they ran into each other like a year or 2 later, and he said, like, hey, Bill, how's that? He said, hey, Bill, what percentage, what's your split? That's what he said. He said, Bill, how's KW going? Good. What's your split over there? And he goes, well, let me see. I paid him 18. They gave me back 24, so I guess I'm on like 111% split, and I think the second guy got it at that point, and that's available to everybody, but no one seems to. I mean, I would just like I wake up and here's my pipeline of real estate, I would do the exact same thing. When I joined, I just said, I'll play. I choose to play. And to do it, you actually have to have a plan. And my plan was that simple. My whole plan was I'm going to have 4 lunches a month, non-negotiable. And I probably for 3 or 4 years, every month I had 3 or 4 lunches. Took them to lunch. I treat you $15, nice lunch, okay? Let's just say anywhere. Cheesecake, anywhere that's, nice sandwich, $15, $20, salad. And I would just talk. I'd really say, I want to show you some things that are working in my business, and I would. Okay, most people don't even understand database. Okay, I mean, your first question would be, tell me about your database. How do you contact them? And you could. I already see. I can help you here. And then I would, in that talk, kind of go, KW taught me that, or Brad Feynman taught me that, or my team leader Cynthia Pierce taught me that, whatever. And if there's some interest, and then you can go from there. And that's all I did. I mean, just 3 or 4 lunches, that was my total game plan. And I said 5 would join, and generally 10, 15 a year join.
That's great. I love everything about that, and I think that's a great avenue. But some of us also would say, okay, how do I go from being a player to an owner?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How do I go from being a player? How do I go from being Michael Jordan on the court to Michael Jordan who owns the Charlotte Bobcats? Right? Mm-hmm. So those are the conversations. When I see wealth builders that I think, how I get into, opening a market center? How do I get into opening a business center? How do I get into opening a mega agent office or an independent mega agent office?
Right.
Or grow if I want to have a team, grow my team where I could be in multiple states.
Yeah, and it's
That
like-
ownership, right? So that, my wife always tells you that I'm more of the big picture type person. She gonna handle day to day. So for me being a big picture person and others that have those same aspirations to have ownership, how do we see more of us in those roles or those opportunities, right? How can I be a Michael Cunningham Ford versus the Alan Mitchell Ford or the Carolyn Ford or whatever? So that's the conversation I would want to be more a part of, and how do we change that narrative to where it's open for everybody. If there's an opportunity that comes available inside of a market center where somebody wants to sell their shares, how am I a part of that conversation? So when I see this, wealth builders, that's what I think.
And Rashad, that's exactly what I was speaking about when we had that session with Dr. Brandy. And just, I'm not saying, I'm not trying to sound like, this is supporting the situation. So I'm not saying, but the model of power with and not power over. So like sharing the wealth and sharing opportunities so that, like, you said, Rashad, yeah, that's a good avenue, but how do we take it further?
Right.
So, in terms of, if you want to speak in broad terms of wealth building and not just scratch the surface of just making some money.
Right. Because it's important to know that to do, I can't remember the office concept that it is, but to do this particular office concept is $150,000. You have to have at least 2 years of 75 units closed. So if you're thinking about going down an ownership path and you're only at 20 units and you know that you have to have 75 proven closed units for 2 years, it's not an option for you yet. Like, you need to know that you need to be focusing on increasing your units and having this money set aside to be able to invest. If you want to go down this option, that's $300,000. So I think that's good, but also knowing what those requirements are so you can put, because that I may not be motivated to close units just because it gets me more money. Right. I may be motivated to close units because I can now buy into something. Because everybody's motivated by different things, especially if you have other incomes coming in, you may be okay with whatever. But if you know that, hey, that's something you ultimately want, then this is what is going to be required of you. So I think that's a good point. Just out of respect for time, I'll go to the next one, which the last point is inclusive marketing and advertising, ensuring that our marketing and technology reflect that broad demographic of our company. I think that this is probably definitely one of the overall Keller Williams international items, and it may not be something specific to our office, but this is basically, Keller Williams doesn't do a lot of advertising, but in the advertising that they do, making sure that it's diverse advertising. I don't know if our office does any advertising at all. So I don't know how this would technically, if this is something that we would want to focus on. One of the things that I did kick off in the chat is there anything else that we're missing? So something that's come up is like the data of, do we know what the retention percentage is, what percent of black agents cap, what percent what's the average sales price for black agents, just knowing some of the data points. We haven't really talked about that. So we know what does that look like for our black agents versus the overall community of agents to see if there is a difference in what's happening. Because, for us, if you look at the top 20, that group is a pretty diverse group of people that typically comes up on top producers, but it'll be good to see, is there a break? Like, at what point are people having that breakthrough? And so we need to focus on this particular agent with this particular characteristics. Is there anything else that's missing? I didn't mean to go through 5 that quickly, but anything else that we haven't discussed that we need to make sure is captured. Again, today is not to make any final decisions. I have the notes of what we discussed. We'll also use the results of the survey, and what I'll do is I'll compile those into different buckets.
I think something I would say we should add potentially something that focuses on changing the narrative, or going deeper and changing the way the social injustices are happening for the blacks and for the minorities. Meaning, whether we have some type of litigation where we communicate, or we're in contact with some of our state representatives and local representative officials, and regarding to what does it look like, the changing, okay, this person, what the changing the laws that are been on the books for 100 years.
Yeah.
Like, this is great. The community give back, the minorities, all of this is great. But let's be real. Like, there's the other thing that could be added here is really could also change lives for the minorities moving well, because I know I have friends that have been victims of social injustice through the criminal justice system. So I think the criminal justice system is something we potentially could add based on the color of their skin, for the same offenses that a white person or somebody that's not black or brown has been not convicted but charged with. So how does Keller Williams go deeper and help in changing that narrative? That's important to me.
Yeah.
Very important to me. So we want to make sure that we're not scratching the surface here. So we want to make sure that what we're a part of, I want to make sure what I'm a part of, we're going deeper. So instead of going 100 feet deep, go 10 feet or 100 feet wide, 10 feet wide and 100 feet deep into the actual things that the protests got sparked out of behind, and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So
that's
what I would add.
To add, is there any other big ticket vision item that we should be considering tackling? Because again, we do not have to stay within any of these.
So real, because we pay the Atlanta Association of the Realtors. We pay the Georgia Association of the Realtors. We pay the National Association of the Realtors. So they should be on board with us and having that conversation and having to change those situations or doing something about it.
Anything else like that? Jim and I was having a conversation regarding some work that his pastor was doing. So I was like, if there's anything that y'all are doing from a community standpoint that will be good for us to partner with, that's really because they are tackling some of those issues, that will be good. So we're not starting from scratch, but we're actually finding an organization that we can work with to just continue on and push that movement. So anything else? We have to have a lot of awesome thank yous. Great point, Rashad, on what you just said. So the next steps will be, again, I'll compile all of this. I'll also take the results from the survey and break it down into what our initiatives are, and then from there we'll decide what the focus area is, and we'll be really moving into the action implementation phase. So I would say from this point until probably 2 weeks from now, really be considering if this is something that you have the time to stay involved with, because we are going to be moving into work, getting it done, and figuring out what we really want to put into action. Type. Anything else?
No, I think good meeting and good agenda, and I think we made some progress.
Yeah, and so we will, again, we wanted to kind of like see everybody in person so we can kind of all meet and vibe. We will have a Zoom meeting probably for the next one, so we can just all be on a Zoom call talking. And you won't have to come into the office. And then depending on the number of people, we will keep it to make sure that it's being action. We will keep it small. But depending on the number of people that want to be involved, that smallness may be just based on, hey, these 5 people, based on your passion, these are initiatives you're tackling, versus we won't all come back together to make decisions.
Is there any way we can collect, a database of everybody that's attending, or that's so we can keep up with tracking?
Yeah, give us all a list of the current.
She has.
Yeah, I haven't, so I can send it out. I have everybody's email and phone number.
For the minority, yeah. So, because we may do something outside, want to do something outside,
Right.
right? So be able to contact everybody and put something together, or whatever, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that did come up with was just making sure we probably partner with schools and see if there's some type of partnership we want to develop with the school to be more proactive than reactive as a big ticket item. So, okay. Well, that's it. Thank you everyone so much for your time. Apologize for the technical delays on getting it started. So we'll definitely be doing Zoom next time. And we do start on time. We was literally here at 10 o'clock, just so y'all know. I was here. I was here at 10, but we were ready to start at 10:30, and when we hit go, it just did not go. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a great one.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Rashawn.
Thank you, Rose.
So I see Stacy. She
Yeah,
she has to take it down.
Thank you, Rashonda.
Thank you so much.
We'll talk. Yeah,
Okay.
call me anytime.
Okay.
Please do.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you.
Oh, Stacy, thank you.
You're welcome.
Everybody online is still watching.